Well, the sun is starting to set on the first season of the Talk Freak Racing Touring Car Championship. Round number 11 comes to you from Mosport. We'll be racing for 30 minutes here today and making his GlacierTV debut. Let's say a very hello to Dan Blake.
Hello Will, thank you for me joining the commentary booth. I don't know if you practiced laps on this track yesterday, and I think we're in for a great race today. It's one of the harder tracks to learn iRacing. There's a lot of bumps, a lot of gradients. I think in total...
And all of a sudden I can't actually hear Dan, so hopefully we'll try and get him back as soon as possible. Just having a look at the V8 who are qualifying at the moment. Ren Brokerman once again setting the pace, trying to make it 11 out of 11 now. We're going to run through your momentarily. That has been stirred. There's no way that can change now. In first position, once again, is Frederick Follestad with a time of 1 minute 16.702. Lining up alongside him in row number 1 will be Marcia Mayo with a time of 1 minute 16.06. Made up with Darren Seal in third and Kevin Wiekemans in fourth. Row 3 will be Terry Dalberg and Andy Kay in sixth. Mark Fletcher and Adam Taylor line up in row number 4 with Roderick Cronin and Nico Brandt in row 5. Adam Parr and Ian Mabott in row number 6. And then Stefan Coppens will round out your Cadillac field. And we'll try again. Hello, Mr. Daniel Blake.
Hello, can you hear me now? Hello. Can you hear me, Will?
Nope. Dan, if you can hear me, try and turn your microphone on. You never know. Oh, no, it could just be my fault. There we are. Mr.
Can you hear me
Blake.
now, Will?
I can hear you now. It's my fault.
I was going to say before, this is a track I've done a few laps on yesterday in testing. I think it's going to be a very interesting and hard-fought 30 minutes, a lot of bumps and gradients and a bit of unpredictability, so I think this could be one of the better races of the season for the Talk Freak Racing Touring Car Championship.
Yeah, I've talked to a number of drivers this racetrack actually, and it's got some very mixed drivers absolutely love it, other drivers hate it. We've been having a number of conversations as to whether or not this track will be good for passing or not. It is one that really is still up for debate. I personally think, however, though, as we've seen a lot this season, it really will come down to the driver's least mistakes. I think in the V8 field, where we've seen all season long, you know, just one mistake and you lose yourself 4 or 5 positions pretty much instantly. You just see Esteban Ball out there going around the number 27 machine trying to improve his qualifying time. He is sat all the way down 4th and bottom in the 24th position overall, and that's a difficult day there. So let's not forget, with 2 races left to go, we have not got ourselves long before the conclusion of the season. If I can get the right screen up, have a run through of some of the championship standings coming into this race, because there are some interesting battles going on in both the V8 and the Cadillac fields. Frederick Follestad is currently leading the Cadillac field pretty much. He's only got to get himself 7 points in this race, guaranteed, with the champ for this season. Adam Terry sat in second, Joe Jr. in third. Joe Jr., Roderick Cronin and Andy Kay very close in the Cadillac class. And then in the V8, you've got yourself Ren Brokerman, you know, 10 out of 10 so far. You can't fault him in any way, shape or form. And Thomas Van Boosel is in second, so it looks like he's pretty much going to be guaranteed with that one. And then Fabian J and Peter Ridley, Dan, they've got themselves a nice battle for third position in the in the V8 field.
Yes, they do. It's just 11 points separating them, and Ridley's qualified a bit further up than Fabian for this race, so this would be a perfect opportunity for him to gain some of those points back.
And don't forget that we will be keeping an eye out on drivers throughout this race involved in some of the big championship battles. You will be able to see some of the information running along the bottom of your screen at certain parts of this race. So very quickly we'll run through the V8 field. That has now been set as the cars are lining up on the grid. Rens Brokerman set the fastest time, 1 minute 19.783. Thomas Van Boosel will line up in the 8th row with Daniel Lee alongside him. Great performance there by Daniel Lee. And then the rest of your V8 field, Peter Ridley, Andy Goodison, Simon Hill, Danny Bowles, Marius Christensen, Fabian J, Phil Jocelyn, Esteban Balau, Andy Griffiths, Robert Burton and Andrew Streetley. We only have one driver that didn't qualify today, and that is Andy Purdy, who is actually out of the race. He's not going to take part in this race today, so that'll be a shame for him. So, we are going to be racing for 30 minutes here today at Mosport. To give you an indication of the time, call that about 20 laps. It's going to be a very, very tough race for these drivers. There's 10 corners and is 2.46 miles in length. You see the field are gridding up nicely now. We're going to be going green in less than 1 minute's time. And Dan, final thoughts before we go green?
I think it's going to be a very interesting race. I think there's going to be some close. And next, I think it's going to be a good little battles around. We've got a lot of championship contention now, and this track's going to be causing some overtaking, I think.
So you see there, this turn number 1 here. This is going to be interesting for these drivers. 90-degree right hand going down into turn number 1. These cars are going to be accelerating all the way down then into Clayton corner, turn number 2. One of the most difficult corners in any of you here in the Talk Creek Racing Touring Car Championship. And the race has begun there. Frederick Bonestad getting himself a good start from row number 1. Marseille Mayo tucks in immediately behind him. 2 wide in the battle for the 3rd position there. You see Kevin Beekman has got Darren Steele all underneath him there. Beekman's had a good start down into turn number 1, further back through the field. It looks as though we've got a big crash. Nico Brand, Roger Cronin up into the wall there. There's a 3rd car involved in that as well. But we look as though we've got ourselves 3 of the caddy field immediately eliminated for the race down in turn 2.
That's not what we want to see early part of this race, and it just shows.
And it looks as though, having a look to see who was involved in it, and it was just behind Andy Kerstoff. You had Roger Cronin, Nico Brandt. So in fact, it might just be the 2 cars there. It came up through on my screen, but Nico Brandt and Roger Cronin, it looks as though they are out of the race, as is Esteban Balau. So we had some drama also in the V8 class, with Balau going off on the racetrack. He was involved in an incident down in turn number 1. Meanwhile, in fact, you had yourself about a 3-car wreck there for the V8 cars that came down into turn number 1. Meanwhile, as the cars are coming down to complete lap number 1, you've got yourself your race leader of Frederick Fonestad in the V8 class from Marseille Mayo. Less than a second behind in the 2nd position. Darren Steele in 3rd. Kevin Beekman in 4th. And Ted Albert rounding out your top 5. And then in the V8 class, you've got yourself Rens Brokerman, Thomas Van Boosel, Daniel Lee in 3rd, Danny Bowles in 4th, and Peter Ridley rounds out your top 5.
And Adam Terry's just gone past the car of Mark Fletcher. He went wide coming out of turn 1, and that gave a great opportunity for Terry, which he took going into turn 2, which was the Clayton corner.
Yeah, and Adam Terry's had himself a couple of starts in this series. He's trying to make his way through the company. He qualified in the 8th position, currently running in the 6th spot. So he's having himself a good start to this race here, coming down into turns number 5 and 6. The Moss corner double apex right-hander. Then coming now down the Mario Andretti straight away into turn number 8 with the next corner for him. This is where the field will settle down, and this is where you made the passes now. You really got to pick out your drivers one by one from now on in.
Also in the V8, you've got a good battle for 2nd. Daniel Lee is really hassling Thomas Van Boosel to go down the Mario Andretti straight.
Yeah, and you see you've also Danny Bowles there, just keeping in touch. You got yourself a nice car battle there for 2nd, 3rd and 4th on the racetrack. Daniel Lee faction. And yeah, Daniel Lee, and it looks like Peter Ridley just hanging on. And I believe so. We have in Jocelyn and Robert Burton on the racetrack. Man, he qualified pretty badly here today, and it looks as though he was involved in an incident with Burton coming down into turn number 1 by the look of it. Sorry, turn number 8, and it looks as though Burton just came across into him, onto the side of him, and both drivers out of the race there. Jocelyn slammed and carry on, so I'm sure the Talk Freak Racing Marshal Katie Scott will have a couple of words to say to Burton.
Yeah, Jocelyn was not too impressed with Burton. I had the little exchange on voice chat, and he's not a very happy bunny indeed.
No, I'm sure Katie Scott, the Talk Freak Racing Marshal, will have something to say about that incident. It probably will be reviewed after the race. We'll keep you updated on that one. Meanwhile, in is Frederick Follerstad. Still, this is a position that we've got ourselves used to seeing so often here this season. Marseille Mayo still within a second of Follerstad in the number 23 machine. May currently sat in the second position. Darren Seal is dropped back about 2 seconds behind the race, and he's got 5 seconds behind the race lead, and he's got Tara Dalberg really putting some pressure on that number 21 SmithBin.com car. And having a look at that battle for second and third position, it looks as though Lee and Van Bussel have been able to pull away from Danny Barles by about a second and a half from the racetrack now. But Van Bussel has got himself a lot of pressure from the rear of Daniel Lee, and ahead of him they've actually got themselves some slow Cadillac drivers, because Ian Mabbott and Mark Fletcher, they are running pretty much off the pace at the moment. And what that's meaning is that Broekman, Van Bussel, and with some of this slower Cadillac there today.
Yeah, Broekman in particular is starting to mix it up with the Cadillac drivers, and we know he became the first V8 victory of an overall race at Daytona, so he's proven that he's not scared of taking on the higher opposition cars.
No, and for Broekman as well, I don't think, though, we could talk about if he could get himself around a couple of these Cadillac drivers, how it could provide him a cushion. I don't think Broekman's going to need that here today. It looks as though he, in qualifying, once again, he was the fastest guy by a full 3/10 per second. And here today in race pace, he's out already much a 2-second gap over Van Bussel in second position.
Van Bussel's having to go very defensive there, because Daniel Lee definitely is not going to let him out of his sights, and in his first race in this championship, I believe Daniel Lee is putting in a great performance so far.
Yeah. That number 20, that number 13 knows how to harass drivers ahead of. I say he did it to Nico pretty much all race long, and it's Van Ballau on Sunday when the IndyCars were racing at Zandvoort. And Daniel Lee really good at applying pressure to other drivers. You don't see Lee making many overtaking manoeuvres himself, but what you do is see him really sing other drivers into a mistake. Having a little bit of look further back through the field, you had Fabian J and Marius Christensen having a little bit of a battle on the racetrack. That seems to have separated for the time being, but you've got his mate off fighting for what is essentially 5th, I believe, in class. Yeah, it is, sorry, 5th in class. So Peter Ridley is in 5th up in the 6th position, and they've got Danny Bowles, who's dropped back a couple of spots. So Danny Bowles lost himself a bit of time that previous lap. He has dropped back into the 6th behind Fabian J in that 04. Danny Bowles really putting them in to get himself back around the 04 car of Fabian J as quickly as possible. Peter Ridley in 4th position will be able to get himself a little bit of a gap as that number 17 of Danny Bowles puts pressure on the 04 car coming down into turn number 5 and 6 once again. And if he can get himself a good drive out of here, he would possibly be able to get over the hill, but he didn't look as though he got a good drive out of Moss Corner. And you see there, Andy Kerstoff going very slowly. He lost himself 2 seconds that previous lap. And Andy Kerstoff is currently in the 7th position in class. He must have had a moment that previous lap, because he's fallen back by about, yes, sorry, he did. He had a huge moment down in turn number 5 and 6. Having a look to see whether he hit the wall. No, he didn't, but he was oh so close. Damn, the radical curse continues yet again.
Also, where the battle for lead has closed up a lot. Marcelo Mayo is now right on the tail of Frederick Follestad. He's caught up a lot in the last couple of laps, so that could be something to watch as well.
Yeah, Marcelo Mayo, I mean, how he, again, is one of those that he can, resisting that pressure, and let's not forget, at Silverstone especially, Mayo and Follestad had a great battle for the race lead. Mayo didn't come out on top in that one, and it looks again, he really is going to have to either try and find a way past, or continue hounding that pressure onto Follestad. And as I said at the beginning of this broadcast, this isn't the easy take on. You've really only got yourself turn 5 and 6 and perhaps down into turn number 8 as your only 2 passing opportunities.
Also in the Cadillac class we've lost Adam Parl. He seems to have dropped out of the race as well.
Yeah, so Parl, and that is the difficult day there for the number 38 machine of Adam Parl. And I do have to apologise in advance. It does seem to be that over in sunny Birmingham, the storms are causing not everything I'm saying to be heard, so I do apologise for that. I am trying to work on it as we speak. Darren Seal sat in the 3rd position. It'll be interesting to see whether he, like he did at Silverstone, can try and let Mayo and Follestad fight ahead of him, wear their tyres out and close down towards the end of this race, because that number 37 machine of Darren Seal, he's just sat back there 3 seconds behind the race lead, and yeah, it looks as though I think he's just cruising for the moment.
Also with the Adam Parl incident, he's said it's a self-inflicted, and also Andy Kay's dropped right back now. He's within the V8 field. He's about 6 seconds behind Marius Christensen, so it'll be interesting to see how far he can get up, but he's got about 20 seconds before his nearest class competitor.
Yeah, we talked about Andy Kay earlier on, and he did go off in turn number 5 and 6. One of the things I have seen with Andy is that if he does like to push that car early on in the race. Having talked to him, he has said that, you know, those radical cars are set up really finely on the limit, and as soon as you get off track and you spin that car, what you essentially do is you just put so much pressure on your tyres that you've got to cruise around for about 2 to 3 laps or so just to let those tyres cool down, so you can try, you know, get back into a rhythm. But Andy Carristoff, it looks like he has cleared Robert Burton, and so you've got yourself Andy Streetley, Phil Jocelyn, Simon Hill all sat down in pit lane to give you an update on a couple of these cars. But Andy Kay really is slipped back into 9th position in class, and I don't think he's going to be able to gain any of that time up.
Also in the Cadillac class, going down to 7th and 8th, we've got a good battle going through Moss Corner onto the Maranjota Straight, and in fact there's a car off in front of them, and it's a green one. Is that Mark Fletcher? Yes, it is Mark Fletcher. So Mark Fletcher's had a bit of a moment there, coming out of turn 6 onto the straight, and that could allow Mabbott and Dahlberg to go down alongside him on the straight. At the moment, it is the number 34 car putting the pressure on. That's Ian Mabbott. He's gone to the outside as the green car, Fletcher.
That was a bad move. Bad move. Sorry to interrupt you there. I think Mabbott, by getting offline like that, it just gave the opportunity for Dahlberg to just dive down the inside into turn number 8.
Yeah, it did. That's what can happen. You can have too much emphasis on attack and forget about defence. And it seems that's what happened there. And he's got all that hard work to do all over again. And instead of gaining a place, he's ended up losing one. Yeah,
and he just looks like he's trying to go around the outside there of Fletcher. Not the easiest thing to do by any way, shape or form. Down into turn number 8, the beginning of the S's. Tyler Dahlberg thought, okay, if you're going to leave the outside line out, I'm going to go down there. And indeed, that is what he did. And Dahlberg is now the one putting the pressure on Mark Fletcher. Give you an update on that number 18 machine. He once again lost it down in turn number 5 and 6. Managed to get himself back onto the racetrack just in time to avoid Dahlberg and Mabbott being able to overtake him. But that number 18 car really has got to push now to try and increase the gap.
The 13 car looks very racy of Dahlberg. It's all over Fletcher again as they go down the Mario Andretti straight. I don't know if he's going to be able to make the move down the inside or not, but he's definitely putting on the pressure right behind that car, so that'd be an interesting one to keep an eye on.
So we'll run through your top 5 as we've completed half the race here at Mosport. I'm sorry, I have to interrupt you. Marcelo and Mayo has got himself into the race lead of the Cadillac class, and Frederick Forrestad looks as though he had a moment just about half a lap or so ago, trying to see exactly what the move was made, but you say it was down once again in turn number 5 and 6. So our third victim there today, Forrestad, just runs a little bit wide. That allows Mayo to get past him. So move Marseille and Mayo in the number 46 machine into your Cadillac race lead. Frederick Forrestad less than half a second behind in the second position. Darren Seal is in third, less now than 2 seconds behind your race leader, with Kevin Viekmans in fourth and Terry in fifth. Mark Fletcher, Tyler Dalberg, Ian Mabbott 6th, 7th and 8th, and Kersoff a full 42 seconds behind the race leader 9th. And then pretty much your retirees are Adam Parr, Roger Cronin and Nico Brandt.
Sorry to interrupt, Will. This battle for the lead could be quite interesting now. It's a three-way battle with Darren Still. Just throughout the race, he's been getting closer and closer, and now within 2 seconds, we'll see what he can do from third place.
And then in your V8 Supercar field, Ren Prokoven is still your race leader. He's now got himself a 4.5 second gap almost to Thomas Van Boosen in second. Daniel Lee still less than a second behind in the third position. Fabian J is in fourth. Peter Ridley in fifth. Marius Christensen is in the sixth spot. Danny Bowles in seventh. Robert Burton still circulating in the eighth position, with Andy Griffiths just going off track there in turn number 2. In ninth, Andrew Streetley in pit lane. So Josh Lamb back onto the racetrack, but 6 laps down. Simon Hill in pit lane. Andy Goodison and Isla Lambano are out of the race. Another moment there for Frederick Forrestad, as he's really attacking there, and he is literally a foot away from putting that car into the tyre barrier.
We've also got Darren Seal now all over the back of him, so all these errors are seeming to cost him, because Seal, if he gets an opportunity, will be looking to go past Forrestad.
And that just shows how quickly things can change in the Talkfit Racing Touring Car Championship on Glacier TV. Just a couple of laps ago, Forrestad was your race leader, had himself about a half-second advantage over Marseille Mayo. All of a sudden, he is almost a second and a half behind, and he is now under attack, not from Mayo, but from Darren Seal, as he's struggling to keep hold of that second position. And Darren Seal does not take prisoners, so one tiny little lock-up for Forrestad, and Darren Seal will be aimed to go right past him.
Also, Will, halfway down the V8 field from fourth onwards, you've got a great battle, 4 cars very close together, and just to add a bit more excitement, you've got Andy Kay trying to get through a lot of them, so that could also be something to keep an eye on. But there's a good move going there. I think it's Christensen on Ridley trying to make the move down the inside, very close, because there's nearly contact. I think there is a bit of contact
there. Just a little bit. I think all those drivers did just manage to get away with it, as I saw that Andrew Streetley just coming back onto the racetrack after an extended pit stop for him. He hasn't been able to get hold of Audi's pit crew, but you see there Marseille Mayo just getting himself around Phil Josland in the number 44 machine back onto the track as well. Frederick Forrestad, as they come up the hill, is going to try and let Frederick Forrestad go past him as well. Indeed, he does that. I think things are starting to settle down just a little bit. Darren Seal just going past. Also, I'm not sure if Seal really has the pace though to close up onto the rear Forrestad.
I don't know really. I have to look at the lap times to see that. Haven't got actually the data on me, but still, I think he's able to keep up with Forrestad. He doesn't seem to be dropping away. He stayed at that same sort of gap between the leaders. It's 2.4. It was 2 seconds now. So the last couple of laps he seems to have the same pace as Mayo and Forrestad to the nearest couple of tenths.
That last lap, however, he lost himself 4 tenths from a second. Forrestad's last lap, a 1 minute 18.558. Compare that to Darren Seal, 1 minute 18.926. Marseille Mayo, a 1 minute 19.252. So all of a sudden, Forrestad is catching Mayo once again. And you can get yourself a little bit of a draft down some of these long straightaways, especially in this Cadillac class. And I think Forrestad's allowed those tyres to cool back down a bit. Perhaps that's why he was off the pace just by a couple of attempts those previous 2-3 laps. Just allowing those tyres to cool back down so he could reignite that charge for the battle for the race lead. But once again, like at Silverstone, like we had at parts of Phillip Island, we're going to have ourselves a nice three-way battle for the race lead as we are approaching the 10 minutes to go mark here at Mosport.
That V8 battle I told you about earlier seems to have a bit of an accident because Peter Ridley's coming into the pits now with damage to the wheel on that right-hand side is quite extensive. So that 4-car battle in the V8s is, and also Fabian Jastrzemski has dropped back a lot as well from where he was.
Yeah, just see a replay of that at the moment. It looks as though Fabian J went wide, and just as he was getting off the throttle, trying to correct the car to stop himself spinning, he just got rammed in the rear there by Peter Ridley in that number 19 Infiniti Esports car, and just turned Ridley was just turned around, as was Fabian J. So both those cars coming down pit lane to get some repairs to their race cars. Have a look to see if they're going to be in there for too much longer. Peter Ridley still sat in pit lane. Fabian J, however, is on the racetrack. His last lap though, 1 minute 29.701, so he lost himself a full 10 seconds there.
Peter Ridley's damage looked quite extensive, so I'd be quite surprised if we saw him come out, and if he does come out he's going to lose a lot of time, so I'm afraid I think that's going to be quite crucial for his race.
Yeah, we haven't really Ridley made too many mistakes in that V8 field. He did start this race in the 4th position, so it was a nice qualifying for him. And if you just have a quick look at the championship
I'm sorry
standings...
to interrupt you, but Darren Seals just found his way past Frederick Follestad with a fantastic move, going into the turn after the Andretti straight. He's round the outside, it's a fantastic move, so Follestad's now dropped himself down to 3rd place.
Yep, so Darren Seal charging. Sorry, it was Marseille Mayo who was able to get ahead of. So Mayo has lost himself 2 positions. Frederick Follestad is once again your race leader. Darren Seal is in 2nd. Marseille Mayo is in 3rd. But get this, guys, they are separated by less than 2 seconds on the racetrack. They've got themselves traffic ahead of them. And Follestad is going to get past them first, I believe. That is Robert Burton, who is just holding these guys up just a little bit there in that number 16 Team Shark V8, and that is just giving Follestad a little bit of breathing space. But Darren Seal is on the track. Follestad off the track again. Darren Seal to the inside. Darren Seal takes the race lead away, and it's going to be a drag race down the back straightaway. You see Follestad on the outside there, Seal on the inside, Mayo just about half a second behind. So these 3 drivers are going to come to the line separated by less than a second this time, and you've got yourself your new race leader in Darren Seal in the number 37 machine.
This is incredible. Race is really coming alive, and Mayo can find himself in the box seat here with these 2 fighting quite fiercely in front of him, but then he could also get caught up if anything happens. He's that close, so I think this is going to be a great end to the race now. We've got about 8-9 minutes left, and I think this battle is one that's going to rage on for quite a while.
So Darren Seal, your race leader, Frederick Follestad in 2nd, Marseille Mayo in 3rd in the Cadillac class. In your V8 class, once again, it is Renz Brokeman ahead by a big margin. Marseille going a little bit wide there in turn number 2, trying to do the undercut now as they come down into turn number 3. Follestad's tyres really look like they're shot to pieces, and he's having to defend heavily there from the number 46 machine of Marseille Mayo. Van Boekel sat in 2nd position in the V8 class. Daniel Lee in 3rd has dropped back now to about 3 seconds behind Van Boekel. Marius Christensen in 4th, Danny Bowers in the 5th position. And I have to say, the V8 class has taken a battering here today, as there was only 5 cars on the lead lap.
We've also lost Tero Dalberg, who earlier in the race was involved in some good racing. It says car's 2 damaged, so that's another one we've lost from the Cadillac class, Tero Dalberg.
And that is not going to be happy for Tero Dalberg. I was talking about Peter Ridley. He came into this race 4th in the V8 class, involved in a bit of a battle with Dave Geimer in the battle for that 4th position. Also trying to close ground on Fabian J in 3rd. And I'm not quite sure that some of these drivers are really going to be wanting to come back to Mosport. Tero Dalberg, he had himself a moderately good season today. Not the best finishes overall, but really has had some strong finishes when he has gotten to the racetrack. A couple of 4th place finishes, but Dalberg is out of the race, and that is disappointing. What is not disappointing, however, is we have got ourselves Darren Seal, Frederick Follestad separated by less than half a second on the racetrack, with Marseille and Mayo literally just a couple of tenths further back. These 3 drivers, you blink and they all go past you, and I really think it's going to come down to a last lap shootout here.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a great action. Oh, Darren Steele's got a moment there, and that's going to let the 23 of Follestad take the outside line. I think Follestad has just gone past and set the lead, where Darren Steele has the inside, but it's Follestad goes across, and he has the lead. So there's a change to the lead. Frederick Follestad is come back into the lead, and also talking about Andy Kay earlier, with Roderick Croonan out the race, he's actually managed to get himself up to 8th in class, and with no Joe Jr. racing, that could be quite crucial for the battle for 3rd in the championship.
Yeah, completely correct. And Darren Steele there just getting himself a little bit squirrely on the power as he came out of turn number 6, Moss Corner. That allowed Frederick Follestad to get the drive as they came up the hill down very own Trelly straight away. As they come back down into turn number 1 again. Now Darren Steele had the race lead a moment ago. He's under pressure from Marseille and Mayo. So these three drivers, it is going left, right and centre. Mayo is really good on the first sector of this racetrack. You see him now looking down to the inside in turn number 3. Thinks better of it. But yes, having a look down the inside as they come out the corner. And Mayo is going to try and go the long way round through turn number 4. I call this America in just complete contrast to Canada corner at Road America. Because if you go off there, you literally are just going all the way down out of Canada into America. Mayo really is hounding Steele now as again he gets squirty on the power coming out of turn number 6. And this is allowing Follestad to drive back into the race lead and getting himself about a second gap as they come up the hill once again. And guys, we've got ourselves about 4 laps left to go here at Mosport International Raceway. And Mayo really looks as though if he can get himself around Darren Steele, he might be able to close back down to the rear of Frederick Follestad. This is by far the best battle we have on the racetrack. We're just going to stick with it for the time being, unless anything really crazy happens elsewhere. In fact, just having a look through Danny Bowles. He is very close to the rear of Marius Christensen in the battle for the 4th position in the V8 class. Last round by, they're separated by less than a second. And 4th to 5th in the championship standings, that is worth a sizable margin. So these guys, especially at the end of the season, it is almost, you know, go for broke time.
Yes, and also with the tribulations for Steele and Mayo, it's also going to let Kevin Viekemans come a bit closer to the action now. He finds himself about 2 seconds behind those two, so if they keep tripping over each other, we could have a 3-way battle for 2nd place there.
Oh, you see that? Follestad getting very close to running on the rear of Andrew Streetley. That is going to allow Steele to close that gap by a couple of attempts from 2nd. Steele not able to make full advantage of that. And what it does do is it just spreads out those top 3 drivers by a couple of attempts here and there, as they all had to get around the inside of Andrew Streetley there. Nothing Streetley could do, but Viekemans, as you were right, he's closed that gap now to less than 3 seconds, and he is going to dive down the inside. And Viekemans, that was inches away there from just running into the rear of Streetley, and some good defensive some good spatial awareness on the number 41 machine.
Viekemans really didn't want to fall back behind those 3 any further than he had to. He thought he had to make that move. It was very close, but he did make it successfully, and for him that was a crucial move. If he'd stuck behind that V8, he'd have lost some crucial time as we come into the closing parts of the race.
We always talk about how these drivers always try to be respectful and don't make any big bold manoeuvres, but as I was just saying, coming into the close of the season, Marseille and Mayo really on the rear of Darren Steele once again in that battle for the 2nd position. Coming into the final stages of the season, when you do just need to get those points, you know, almost causing your car to be torn off the racetrack, it almost becomes second fiddle because you know what position you need to finish the race in. Of course, we do not condone bad driving, and I'm sure these drivers aren't doing the same thing, but I have to say that was some good driving by both Streetley and Kevin Viekemans. Viekemans still about 2 seconds behind, but if either those 2 drivers ahead make a mistake and go off track again, it is going to give the opportunity for Viekemans to have an opportunity at a podium finish. As we're coming down, pretty much we've got ourselves 2 laps left to go here now, I think, at Mosport International Raceway. In fact, let's not call it Mosport, we'll call it the Canadian Tires Motorsports Park. We'll give it its real name for the time being. Rens Broekman, let's just catch up on him. He is 6 seconds ahead of Thomas Van Boosel. No surprise there. Broekman trying to go 11 out of 11 there. One of the most dominant performances I've seen by a driver in a series in a very, very long time. And I have to say that Adam Terry's been, he's just sat there in the 5th position on the number 21 machine. And after a bit of a rough start for him, he's only 10 seconds behind the race lead, so a good job by that number 21 car.
Yeah, he's done well to get himself back into it, but that battle for second place is really hotting up now. Mayo right on the tail of Seal, and I think in the moment he's going to really try and make a concentrated effort, but it's gone wide. He's lost some time there, and that could let Viekemans come close. He was coming out of the Sterling Moss corner, and the back end's got away from him, and that now means instead of challenging for second, he's got to try and fight off Viekemans for that final podium position.
That has been the story all race long, as we are on the white flag lap. So as they come past the line this time by, this will be at the end of the race. Viekemans only going to have a couple of corners to try and challenge for this race, this podium finish. Frederick Follestad, however, he is coming out of the final corner, down past the start finish line, so he's going to take the white flag this time by. So Follestad's got himself one more lap left to go. He is your race leader in the Cadillac class, and Marseille Mayo is in second. Kevin Viekemans is right there with him, so Darren Seale's in second, Marseille Mayo third. Kevin Viekemans now is hunting for that podium finish, and I think the way these cars have been driving, it could be anyone's game for any of the top three finishes at the moment, because you never know, Follestad can still have a moment on this racetrack with half a lap left to go, because it's still going to come down into turn number 4, 5 and 6, and this is the big braking zone. Don't mess it up now, Follestad. He gets a nice apex into turn 5, really good on the throttle, one of the best times I've seen him all race long, through turn number 6 now, just like left-hand kick up the Mario Andretti straight away. He's got himself some of the V8 drivers ahead of him. He's got himself Danny Bowles and Marius Christensen. They will not come into play to be a deciding factor in this race. It looks as though for a moment Marseille Mayo could have had the opportunity to take race victory here. It looks for a moment that Darren Seale was going to get victory, but in the end, as it's been so often this season, as they come out of the final corner, Frederick Follestad is going to win round 11 of the Toro Freak Racing Touring Car Championship. A great drive by him once again. Darren Seale comes home just over a second behind Marseille Mayo, a further 2 seconds back, and Kevin Viekemans does have settled for 4th position, but a neat charge for the end of the race for him, as Adam Terry just coming past the start finish line there now. There. And Ren's gone.
And in the V8 class, Ren's Brakeman is coming now towards the end of the lap for another victory. It's 11th out of 11. It's been a fantastic season for Brakeman. He's took the championship, and it means now he just has to win the race next week at Road Atlanta to have a perfect season. It's coming around the last corner now, and it is a victory for Ren's Brakeman in the V8 class of the V8 supercars, and then Thomas Boozle is second. And the battle for third is diluted down a bit between Christensen and Bowers. It was close at one point, but it's gone a lot further out now. And I think Bowers has made a mistake, in fact, 'cause he's definitely a lot more than 2 seconds behind. But back to you then, Will.
Yeah, and I think for the next race they should put Brokeman at the rear of the field just to see whether he can still get his way through.
Yeah, I think he'd actually do quite well at that, because he's won an overall race, and he's won 11 out of 11 even now in the V8. So maybe that could be an option, but I don't think they'll do that.
So we're just going to let these cars come past the start finish line. You see there a very sick looking V8. That is Andrew Streetley. He finished 6 laps down, was able to get it back onto the racetrack. But driver of the race, go on, you can start first here.
I think the top 4 really did well to entertain us. It was swapping and changing, but then Follestad showed the class when needed to be to get back to the front, and yeah, I think he deserved the victory in the end. But Ren's Brakeman in the V8s, he's just absolutely fantastic this season, so he'll get my V8 driver of the day.
I am going to give my vote to Kevin Viekemans, because that was a great charge for him to get himself from where he was to less than 5 seconds behind the race lead at the end of the race. That was a really good second half of the race for that number 7 machine, and had that race been another 10 minutes long, you never know what could have. In fact, we didn't know what was going to happen coming to that final lap anyway. Just a solitary mistake by Follestad, Seale, Mayo. Viekemans could have had himself a podium finish, and he set himself up into a position where he was able to capitalise had any of those drivers made a mistake. we are going to run through your final race result. I think all the drivers have come past now. Frederick Follestad in the Cadillac class is your race winner. A time of 30 minutes, 17.061 seconds. Darren Seal finishes just a smidgen over a second behind him in the second position. Marseille Mayo comes home in third. Kevin Viekemans in the fourth position. Adam Terry in fifth. Mark Fletcher is in the sixth spot. Ian Mabber in seventh. And Kristoff is in eighth. And then you've got yourself Terry Dalberg in ninth. Adam Parr in 10th. The retirees, Roderick Cronin, Nico Brand, Stefan Coppins, and Andy Purdy. And then in the V8 class, you've got yourself Rens Brokeman, Thomas Van Boosel, Marius Christensen, Denny Bowles, Andy Griffiths, Peter Ridley, Daniel Lee, after a great start to the race, finishes 5 laps down the number 20 machine in the end. Robert Burton in 8th, Andrew Strictly in 9th, Phil Jocelyn in 10th, Fabian in 11th. Simon Hill, Andy Goodison, and Islam Balau are your retirees. And I'm going to get bored of talking to this guy eventually, but Frederick Follestad, welcome back to Victory Lane.
Thank you, thank you. Now, that was a good race.
And that's all we're going to talk to. No, I'm joking. It was, all I can say, it was a crazy race between not only yourself, but Darren Seal and Marseille and Mayo around you as well. And in those final few laps, it really was a case that anyone could, you know, just win that race if one of you made a single mistake. And was it the tyres that were going off, or was it just, you know, lack of concentration from everyone? What was it?
In my case, it was I don't think I had enough laps with race fuel as usual. So I got some really surprising oversteer problems after 10 laps or so. So I finally made a mistake, and Marcelo got by, and then he made a mistake, and I think it was 3 liters. That was pretty fun though.
And turn 4, 5, and 6 have always been difficult corners here. For you, it seemed to be in that little bit between turn 5 and 6, which was the biggest issue, not only for yourself, in fact, for many drivers here this weekend. But, I mean, how difficult is those couple of corners, you know, to get the power down and gain yourself time when you really need to?
Yeah, it's really easy to. You have to brake late to get a good exit. So, but if you brake just a little bit too late and lock up, you end up off the track and spinning and stuff. So, it's really difficult in these kind of cars. So yeah, also a few mistakes in that corner.
And I'm going to pay attention, actually, try and get my words out for once here. But next week, finale of the season is going to be at Road Atlanta. And I believe you are still trying to get yourself perfect points for the season. You are 1 race away from doing so now. Can you do it?
Yes, I think so. Because it's normally a track I do well at. But I've always done well when I've said I wasn't going to do well, so I might crash.
And slightly off topic, for everyone who keeps on asking, when are you going to make yourself another racing video?
Never.
That's a lie, and we know it. Well, congratulations on your race win once again, Frederick. We will see you next week at Road Atlanta. Marseille and Mayo, you were leading. At one point, you were in, and you ended up coming home third. Take us through your race.
Yeah, well, first of all, I just want to say it was an awesome race from my perspective, and big congrats to Frederick again and to Darren. Yeah, just the better drivers on the day. Frederick was really quick again in qualifying. He just blew us away, and I didn't really think I was going to have a chance to keep up with him. But in the end, it seemed that my pace was more or less similar to his, and Darren also. And I think we pulled away from the other guys, us 3. Then I remember Frederick making a mistake at Moss Corner and getting in the lead, and then I think I had the pace to to go to the end and win the race, but yeah, just Moss corner again. It just caught me out a couple of times today. So too many mistakes from my behalf.
And from my perspective, it seemed to be the biggest moment that lost your momentum was when you had to overtake the V8 driver down in turn number 3, as you all had to squeeze past him. Was it as big a momentum killer as it looked on our screens, or did you think that, you know, it was just a non-issue at that point for the side had it in the bag?
Well, I can't exactly remember what lap you speaking about. I remember coming past a couple of guys in the V8s, and it was most of them, I think, was at really bad times on the track. But I suppose there's no really good time on this track, to be honest. Yeah, I think I did lose a lot of momentum with the V8 guys, but it's not their fault, and it's just the way it is. That's racing.
And Mr. Follestad up, ever the enthusiast, said that he's going to make it 8 out of 8 next season to get himself perfect points in the championship. The question to you is, can you stop him?
I'll certainly try my best. I can't promise anything, but next season I think I'll put more effort into creating setups. This particular race, I used Frederick's setup, which just immediately I got 0.5 of a second as soon as I used it. So I think that's where I'm really being held back is my setup. So I'll definitely put more work into that, and next season I'm certainly give Frederick hopefully I'll give him keep him more company.
Ooh.
Well, congratulations on your 3rd place finish. In 4th is a guy who looks as though if anything was to happen to those top 3 drivers was going to steal away a podium finish. Didn't quite happen, but Mr. Kevin Viekerman, you got yourself a nice solid 4th place finish on the number 7 machine, so well done to you.
Yeah, thanks. It was definitely the best race of the season, and yeah, I was just sitting there waiting for a mistake, but it didn't happen. So yeah, but I'm still happy with 4th.
But you managed to gain yourself a lot of time in the leaders in those last, 5 to 10 laps. Were you just preserving your tyres earlier on, or was it just the fact that they were too busy fighting each other and you in clean air, which allowed you to catch up?
Yeah, I think it was because they are fighting, and I didn't save my tires because I spun almost once and it burned my rear tires. But yeah, I just gained a lot because they were battling. Marcelo made a mistake, Darren made a mistake, but yeah, never got close enough.
And I have to say, you do win the award for the scariest moment of the race, coming down into turn number 8, just diving down the inside of, I believe it was Andy Streetley in the V8 car. Was it as scary for you as it looked on our screen?
Definitely. Oh, my heart shook a lot there. I thought he was leaving the inside, and I went for it, and suddenly he closed the door, and boy, I saw it happen, but fortunately it didn't happen.
And next week, to raid Atlanta to complete the Talk Freak Racing Touring Car Championship season. I mean, this is a track historically in Talk Freak Racing series that has always not only decided where people finish in the championship, also almost set the tone for the following season. So, I mean, what's your aspirations going into the final race, and how do you think you can build there going into the 2nd season of the TCC?
Yeah, this was actually my last race since I'm on holiday next week, so yeah, I won't be there at the Road Atlanta.
Boo. Who allows drivers to go on holiday in the first place anyway?
Yeah, my team.
Don't answer that. Well, that is pretty much almost all we have got time for here today then. Big congratulations once again to Frederick Follestad, your race winner in the Cadillac class, and once again to Renz Brokerham, making it 11 out of 11. We're going to start getting bored of him. We'll get bored when he wins 12 out of 12, because then he can't ever beat that next season. Coming up for the rest of this week on Glacier TV, we have got ourselves the BigDogsRacing.com Bob's Motorsports 110 from Phoenix International Raceway tonight. That is overnight on GlacierTV. That is at 1 a.m. GMT. Then we've got ourselves the iRacing Skip Barber Racing School Premier Series coming to the close of that season. 30 laps of Mid-Ohio. That is tomorrow night at 8 p.m. GMT. For you Finnish lovely people, we have got ourselves the Trellet.net Season 5 Race 5 at Okayama. And on Sunday, we have ourselves the Afterburn IndyCar Series, the Texas 550k, 220 laps on Texas Motor Speedway. And for all of you people wondering why I didn't mention the Talkflick Racing Summer Super Cup, unfortunately, that season had to finish a couple of weeks early at Silverstone. So that will be back in the summer-autumn time. So we'll keep you updated on that one. The Talkflick Racing Summer Super Cup always is a great series, and I hope to see it back on Glacier in a couple of weeks' time. Meanwhile, all I have time to do is say goodbye from me, goodbye from Dan, and goodbye from Yana. We'll see you all tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Here they come to the start-finish line again.